No, let's have the conversation about what's going on in the market.
Okay. All right, here we go. Ready? Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money and Rick Warner of Keller Williams Realty. And on the phone, we have America's Business Coach, Coach Ron Tunick. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What old TV show featured Ralph, Alice, Ed, and Trixie? Coach, you know that answer.
Yeah, I do. Let me get it. The Honeymooners.
The Honeymooners. Hey, Ralphie boy, do you remember that?
Yeah, that was
okay.
To the moon.
To the moon, Alice. Yeah. All right, Coach.
You guys are old.
Yes, we're very old. Yeah, Rick here. He's just barely out of high school, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, close. Okay. Actually, no, he's quite seasoned. So, Coach, you were going to start talking about how all the social media and real estate.
The first segment was we're talking about what's going on with the government, eavesdropping, blah blah blah. But I want to get Rick involved because Rick, doesn't the government, or did the government, or is currently the government having an effect on real estate? I'd love to get your take on it.
Yeah. Well, I think let's take the second question first. Does the government currently have an impact on real estate? Absolutely, right? By buying down the bonds and keeping the interest rates low, that's having an absolute impact. Whether depending on what side of the where you're sitting, it may be good or bad, but it certainly has driven. Here in the last 16 months, the market's just gone crazy because of the other part where they're having some impact, maybe indirectly. But all of these foreclosures and short sales have kind of dried up, and the regular buyers, in quote mark in air quotes, are kind of slow to come back to the market, and so we don't have a lot of inventory. So between those two things, whether directly or indirectly, absolutely the government's having an impact.
Well, I think also the fact that we never really had that second tsunami or third tsunami of foreclosures, that wave of foreclosures people were predicting to happen again in 10 and 11 and even a little bit in 12. There was this, there's
shadow inventory.
Shadow, right, and because
which is a big lie. It was a myth.
Right. The government has essentially, pressured the banks into not foreclosing. I mean, we all know people who've been living in their homes for 3 years and haven't made a mortgage payment, and they haven't been foreclosed on.
So now that let's say the real estate's gone up, and now they have equity, now what do the banks do?
Well, and that remains to be seen because the banks have held inventory off the market. There's anecdotal information that Rick, you and I both have that we know that to be true in every market.
Well, if they have inventory, then that means they've actually foreclosed.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that there's any kind of anything large amount of inventory the banks are actually holding on to. They may have held on by virtue of what you said, which is they haven't actually foreclosed.
Yeah.
But to my knowledge, there's no huge inventory that the banks are actually holding on to.
I wonder how one could find that out.
Well, you can go on to foreclosure radar or whatever. You can see what's being held.
But now we've got people wondering whether are we in another real estate bubble right now, given how prices have shockingly increased year over year. I don't know anybody that predicted a year ago where we are today.
No way.
How is it down where you live, Coach? Is it prices?
Well, it's getting a little bit better down in Southern California. I think you've got 3 or 4 things going on. One is you have a little bit better attitude about the marketplace in general. The news is not as negative. I don't see real low employment ever happening in the United States again because of technology. We should do a show on that because right now technology is shipped overseas where it's less expensive, so there's less and less of those high-paying jobs. I think that's one of the things that's going to have an effect on real estate is that if the working public doesn't get moderate raises, if production continues to go at a very moderate level, then you're not going to see big spikes in real estate. The rich are always going to be rich. And let me ask Rick this question. Down in Southern California, we have a real influx of buyers from other countries. Asian buyers seem to be dominating Southern California. Money coming in from other countries seem to be buying our real estate down here. What's it look like in Northern California?
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of similarities there. Up here, we have a lot. In fact, I talked to my title person this morning. I closed two deals this morning. She closed 5 total, and 4 of the 5 were all cash. I have no idea where I don't want to talk about what country or whatever, but yeah, there's a lot of cash and there's a lot of high tech people that are coming in that are from different countries and purchasing homes, and no doubt about that.
Yeah,
The market has been doing pretty darn well. So it's at all time highs. My guess, Rick and guys, there has to be some leveling off. There has to be some adjustment. I think real estate. This is no plug for anybody, but I think smart money moves over to real estate now and income property. Rick, don't you think income property would be a smart bet even for a small investor?
I totally agree. To me, it's that double-edged sword in a good way, in that you have some likely appreciation on the asset itself, but you can lock in the cost, with a 30-year mortgage, but you also have the likely inflation of the rent itself, right? So the return on investment is likely going to be going up.
Well,
So
I would
agree.
hope that they would not. That real estate wouldn't have a continually huge spike.
It can't. It's not sustainable at all. I just got off the phone right before we aired here with somebody with that, and this is the problem that we're having: is that the buyers that have come in the last, say, 6 months, if they haven't been able to get a property, what they were looking at, they can no longer have, right? Anything that they tried to get in the last 6 months, they either have to adjust their price up, or which is being done for them because interest rates have gone up, right? Or they have to adjust what they are going to get down, and so they're facing this
How much
challenge.
increase are you talking about in the last 6 months for those people? Like $100,000 in price?
Well, it's harder to do price, but I would say percentage-wise, it's easily 10% in 6 months.
That's amazing.
But less and less people, guys, are going to be able to qualify to buy single-family homes. So that's why the rental market should continually start to move up, because you're going to have a supply and demand issue. You're not seeing rental units built, so you're going to see a real demand. There's going to be a shortage of rental units, and that's why I think income property at all areas is going to be a good long-term investment.
I agree, but the thing that you have to remember too is that right now, and since February of 2008, when the thing kind of bottomed out, you have the crossover point now where it's actually as cheaper, and still is, even with things going up, that you could actually buy right now versus rent. And as an investor, you can buy with 25% down and still rent back and have positive cash flow.
Well, two things. One, it's hard to get the loans from the bank still, so you have to kind of take that into consideration. If you
I
put
don't think that's a
25% down,
bad thing.
I understand, but I'm saying about like what's potentially out there. The other thing is you put 25% down, you may not buy it because there's 40 offers that are all cash.
Well, that's true, but if you can get in, my point is that in 2006 you couldn't put down 25% in cash flow. You knew it was going to be a negative, monthly expense, and now you can still. I mean, it's starting to be where you can't actually, but there's a long way to go before investors start going away. I guess is my point, because they can still get the return, and to your point, Coach, the demand for rent is here now, let alone what you're predicting.
Well, you know what, audience, Rick is going to have to leave us, not this earth, thank goodness, but he's going to have to leave this episode. So before you leave, because you seem like you have a wealth of knowledge, which is one of the reasons we have you, Alan, as a co-host.
Thank you very much.
How do people get a hold of you for more information about buying real estate?
Best way to get a hold of me is just to call me directly, 415-302-6348. You can also send me an email, rick.warner@sbcglobal.net, and my Facebook page is Rick Warner Real Estate Broker.
And if you go to the Best Investing,
I'm on there as
he's
well.
on there as well. He's all over the place. Okay, we're going to cut to the second commercial break here. Here's the trivia question. Who hosted a game show where a duck would fall from the sky with a $100 bill in his beak? Again, we're talking old TV here.
I know that.
You know that one too. Holy smokes.
Well, you watched way too much TV,
Yeah.
young man.
And he's not that old either. Okay. Okay, the first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who hosted a game show where a duck would fall from the sky with a $100 bill in his beak? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, speak slowly, spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because we're going to be right back.